Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh and Juma Barak. I'm Preacher Moss. I pray that you receive this, that you are in good spirits, good health, your family is strong, and you are engaged in all kinds of joy. This is your Friday reminder. And speaking of joy, before I start, I want to give a shout out to my main man, Asim, who's getting married this weekend. May Allah give you a strong wife and that you two produce righteous children. This is your Friday reminder. This reminder is a little bit different because I actually went beyond when I was Muslim and thought about some of the things that happened before I became Muslim. And one that stands out is a conversation I had with a brother. He was part of the 5% Nation. His name was Born Black. That's what it was, Born Black. And we were talking. We were in part of what's called a cipher. We were talking about God and the universe and Allah and things like that. And this is before I came into full knowledge. But I remember the conversation after I took my Shahada. And what was interesting about speaking with Born Black was he talked about the closeness and proximity of the black man to God to the point where the lines were blurred. And I always thought that was scary for me. I thought it was a misnomer, and I was like, I can't necessarily buy into that. But this is the thing that I loved about Islam, and it still sticks with me today. That there's astute awareness of placement of where God is, Allah is, and where you are. Whereby the distance has to be to the point whereby we need Allah, but Allah does not need us. And here's the explanation that actually helped me sign on the dotted line to become a Muslim. It was the idea, brothers and sisters, that we should not be disappointed or displeased when something is promised. Let me say it again. We should not be disappointed or displeased when something is promised. This was a kind of logic I never heard before. In the aspect that life, if you will, is in essence one big promise. That's why people say that person has promise, but we can't make promise beyond what we are as people. We may have promise, but it bumps up against the realities that are around us. And in that space, it helped me be a better Muslim because there are ups and downs, undulations when you're trying to be a good person. You have ebbs and flows, good days, bad days. Some days you're on fleek, you're a 10% Muslim, and some days you're 110%. But the thing that was interesting was that scope of what I said. Don't be displeased, don't be disappointed, because the promise doesn't come from us. In this space, this promise is totally at another level in context of how the world was created. To have a responsibility, to have an accountability is something that people have between one another. We think that we have accountability to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We think we have responsibility to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but in reality, we have responsibility of ourselves. He does not need us to hold ourselves responsible for Him. It's part of a balance. We have to hold ourselves responsible and do things in an ethical way because it maintains the balance of good in the world. Born Black had one thing that was beautiful. He talked about that 5% of that 85%, that 10% and that 5%. But it was the whole idea that it takes 100% understanding, and it's a simple understanding that Allah is God and we're not. That's your Friday reminder. Allah is God. Keep it simple. Have a beautiful weekend. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.